After the alleged mob hit by Salvatore Testa and Salvatore Chucky Merlino, this further solidified the reputation and relationship that Testa had with the alleged crime family members. For instance, they would take bullets for each other, they would defend each other's turf, and also look out for each other in the community. In South Philadelphia, there are so many different people that lived within the region. Some of them were hardworking people doing daily jobs, especially working the Italian markets, butchers, lawyers, doctors, and other different medical team. And then there was those who worked in the criminal underworld, working underneath the sidelines in the South Philadelphia market. Testa grew up around these people within the community of all different types of occupations. Then he will also travel to New Jersey, where some of his family members also had associations with. For example, his father, Philip Testa, also had a long-term relationship with Nicodemo Little Nicky Scarfo. Nicky Scarfo was under the mentorship of Felix Skinny Racer DiTullio, who died in 1966. His immediate supervisor or captain became an old-time South Philly mobster named Alfred Ferriaizzi, who was close with Testa. By extension, Scarfo had become close with Phil Testa. Salvatore Testa was known on the streets as Salvie, was only a few years younger than Philip. Philip Leonetti, also known as Crazy Phil, will also have a good relationship and a long-term friendship with Salvatore Testa. What Nicky Scarfo was doing by the way of grooming Philip for the mob, Philip Testa was doing the same for Salvie. According to Philip Leonetti's Mafia Prince book, he said, "I had known Phil Testa and Salvie since I was a kid. When I was a baby, Phil Testa would watch me and my mother when shopping on 7th Street in South Philadelphia. Salvie and I were very close. He was one of my best friends. We were basically raised the same. We both taught about La Cosa Nostra. We were very young. Me and my uncle would go see him in Philly, or they would come see us at the shore." Chucky was also close with Phil Testa and Salvie. There have been some other reports that Nicky Scarfo was the godfather of Salvatore Testa, along another person was the godfather of the city of Philadelphia named Angelo Bruno. Bruno had been running the city of Philadelphia for over 20 years, starting from 1958 until his untimely demise in 1980. Bruno will be the leader of the family for many years to come, and of course with that lifestyle comes treachery and deceitfulness. During Angelo Bruno's reign, the city of Philadelphia will have control of its underlings, and then also many people do not know how many people were whacked behind closed doors, since Bruno was not known for his lethal methods to be public. For instance, when it came to a person that may have disappeared or so, especially someone you may know from the corner, you never knew exactly what happened to them. For instance, according to George Anastasia example, he said like if you heard of a person named Rich and Rich disappeared, most likely a tactic that was Bruno used to use was that when a person was whacked, Angelo Bruno had sent some of his underlings to dump the body at one location and then have another group of underlings to relocate that body and bury somewhere else that he truly trusts. So therefore, if anyone became an foreign, nobody never knew exactly where the body was originally located. That was Angelo Bruno's method. However, after Bruno's untimely demise, things would get more chaotic. But in this timeline that we're staying with Angelo Bruno, many of his underlings have better relationships. The Scarfo family members had good relationships with the Testas. The Testas had a good relationship with the Merlinos. So therefore, you have a whole big community of South Philadelphia, that everyone knew each other within that community, and they knew what business and operations to perform. And if anyone crossed paths with them, therefore, many people were marked for death. Salvatore Testa also had a relationship with not only Salvatore Chucky Merlino that was involved in the hit allegedly against Mickey Coco. Testa also had a relationship with Chucky's son named Joey Merlino, who would later become known to the public as Joseph Skinny Joey Merlino. Now during this era, especially in the 1970s, Testa will teach Merlino how to ride horses, and this will become a personal hobby of Merlino's in the future, as you will see here in this video.
But I mean, listen, that was phenomenal. Where did you start at riding horses?
When I was a kid, like 12, 13. Salvie Testa took me.
Oh, really?
Salvie used to have horses.
So as you heard from Merlino himself, that was part of his relationship with Testa, and we'll try to go over more content wherever Merlino makes some of his videos accessible to the general public, so we do not deter any of his Patreon subscribers. Meanwhile, this is how Testa had grew a relationship with all the big wigs in the Philadelphia crime family members. And that was during the prime of the 1970s. And 1979 became an interesting year. Not only was it the alleged year where Testa earned his button to be 100% Italian and participate of someone's demise, therefore this is where he was ranked to be a made man within the crime family. And that concludes this brief of this part of the video. We will go over more news reports because 1979 was like one of the last peaceful years of the Philadelphia mob before it goes into more disarray. However, in the end of 1979, especially near Christmas, Philip Leonetti, Nicky Scarfo, and Lawrence Yogi Merlino will be involved in a hit that would take place in New Jersey. The victim, Vincent Falcone, was a cement contractor who worked under Scarfo Leonetti. People kept hearing around the streets that Falcone was talking really bad about Scarfo Leonetti behind closed doors. And when Scarfo took the businesses after his mentor, Philip Skinny Razor DeTullio, had passed away, therefore he decided to take action by going against Vincent Falcone. When Vincent Falcone was escorted into New Jersey Margate Shore home, he was led to believe that they was going to have a couple of drinks. Meanwhile, he fell for the trap because he believed that when he saw Joe Salerno, who was not a made member, therefore he thought he would be safe. But unbeknownst to him, Salerno, Lawrence Yogi Merlino, Philip Leonetti, and Nicky Scarfo will see Falcone take his last breath. Philip Crazy Leonetti, under Scarfo's order, had pulled the trigger and shot Vincent Falcone twice. Ended up taking his life in that Margate home. That would conclude the end of the December of 1979, and then the year of 1980 will usher a whole new era of violence that will strike the Philadelphia crime wave as we continue in the next video. This will have an effect on Testa's relationship with some of his crime family members, being that some of his closest friends were now being put on trial for one of the biggest trials that occurred in the late 1970s, since this was a time that television and courtrooms were now becoming public to the rest of the world, and that was very revolutionary at that time. We will continue with the next chapter. Stay tuned for more.
Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel and check out more of our content. Feel free to give your feedback and suggestions on what we should do next in the comments. This is Infinite Lee Productions. We love ya.